Yo, what's good guys, it's Elementry. Today I'm gonna show you how I made song Glacier by Quavo and PlugboyMax. Let's get into it.
Rolls Royce got stars, Plaqueboy I got bars, tattoo on my arm, with a bad bitch no prom, made bag of machine, cat this jack I go fiend, trap the scale a beam, birds singing like bees.
So yeah, this is how the sample project looks like. Maybe it seems kinda complicated, but actually nothing crazy in it. This is how the whole sample sounds like. For the first sound, I used the synth that actually was deleted from the project just because it was overload the process, but this is how the main chord progression looks like. Yeah, nothing crazy, just a 4 chords progression. Then I render it out and just chop the end of each bar just to make a more bouncy feeling in it. For the processing I used MF101 filter with the default preset. Just mess around the filter section, make some cutoffs and put the resonance. For the second VST I use Horus June 6 from Arturia. Actually this is my favorite Horus at the moment. I always use default preset and just mess around with the mix section and the rate section. The last one for this sound was the Fruity Love filter with the default preset as well. Just made some adjustments in the cutoff and the white section and made the automation clip. The next sound is a guitar accent from the Deuce One Shot kit. This is how it sounds like. For the processing I use just the Guitar Rig 6 VST with the preset called Bad Echoes from the reverb section. After this I made volume automation clip just to make this empty feel in the each end of the bar, just like in the main synth. After that I decided that I need something in this empty part where the synth and guitar are not playing, and I decided to take the vocal chop. Yeah, this is how it sounds like. For the processing I used Sketch Cassette 2 VST with the default preset, just messed around the H section, hiss and saturation to make it like vintage feeling in it. For the next VST I used Tier 5 just to make it even more vintage, and then I just used Pro Q3 and made the high and low end cuts. Next sound is the plug sound from the Diva. This is how the chord progression looks like. For the processing I used Valhalla Vintage Verb just to make it more spacey, and then MF101 filter with the preset called M Blanket. Just mess around in the filter section again, make it more cutoff. Then I render it out, just make a couple chops, and yeah, this is how it sounds like with the all effects. The next sound I used Analog Lab 5 Bank with the preset called Sign Pad. This is the whole same chord progression like in the main synth, and I chop it up as well. This is how it sounds like. For the processing I used Ozone 9 Imager to make it play in the right stereo placement. For the next sound I used texture sound. This is kinda like VHS or vinyl texture to add some more feelings in this loop. The next sound is the bass sound from the Contact library called Rickenbacker Bass by Scarby. This is how the chord progression sounds like. Nothing special actually, just the same root notes from the chord progression on the very first synth. For the next sound I use ample guitar with the texture section. For the processing I used plugin called Semantics Lotus with the preset called Sequential DMT just to make it even more textured, and then also put Ozone 9 Imager just to make it right stereo placement. The next sound was taken from Splice. It called Electric Guitar Lick. This is how it sounds like. I made a couple chops just to flip this sound a little bit. For the processing, I again used Pro Q3 to make high and low end cuts, and then I added the King's microphone VST from Waves. This plugin is emulating different microphones because for me this sound is kinda similar to a vocal, so I decided to emphasize this feeling. This is how the whole sample sounds like at this section. For the last sound, I used Repro 5 with the lead preset. This is how it sounds like. As you can see, the name of the preset is Lead Levitation. I mess around in the effect section and turn off the mix of the distortion effect. For the processing, I used just two VSTs, East-Tape Mellowfi, to make it more vintage, and then I used Pro C2, it's just a basic compressor to make it more louder. So yeah, this is basically how the sample project looks like. Let's listen to this again, and then I show you how I made the drums. So yeah, this is basically how the drums project looks like. Nothing crazy, nothing special in it. Just gonna show you sound by sound how I made this. The first sound I started with was the hi-hat from my sound bank called Doomsday. You can check this on my BeatStars page. This is how the pattern looks like. Basically, it's just a two-step hi-hats, but with the same space in each two bars, just like in the sample. The next one is the basic clap from the same kit. Nothing special, just a basic clap, but I take the note down and made this on the B4 instead of C5, just to make it kinda lower. The next sound is the basic 808, kinda like Z808 or something. Just a basic pattern that follow the root notes of the sample. After that, I decided to make a couple perk sounds on it, just put some extra snares, cowbells, some rims, some open heads, and this is how the whole perk section sounds like. Then I realized that it sounds too basic, so I decided to put some extra sauce on it. I take a couple perk loops from any sound. Now just check how it sounds after I turn on this perk section and how much bounce it brings to the beat. The last thing I did, I just put the kick at the same place like the 808 just to make it hit harder. So yeah, basically this is how the whole drum section sounds like. Nothing special for the processing section, I just level each sound to make it sound right. And then I put the drum group section with the Pulsar 1178. It's my favorite compressor for the drum. After that I put the API 550B equalizer and bring 40 Hz up too, just to add some subsequence in it. Then I made a little trick. I did the sidechain from my drum channel to my melody channel through the plugin called Trackspacer 2.5. It makes drums hit much harder. Then I added API 550B once again just to bring up high mid frequencies. So yeah, this is basically how the whole beat with the sample sounds like. Yo guys, thank you for watching, really hope you enjoyed this video and hope y'all could learn something from it. I probably will do more this kind of videos soon, so stay tuned. That was y'all boy Elementry. See y'all.